Welcome. My name is Jesse Stakes. I'm the Clinical Director for Behavioral Health Case Management. I'm excited about the topic we'll be discussing today. It's an absolute for every trainer's toolkit. I provided training at some capacity for the last 20 years or so, and I've learned that an integral part of any well-designed training program is a gap analysis. In order to most effectively utilize our training dollars and resources, we must first determine the location, scope, and magnitude of the training. Today, we'll just scratch the surface and get a very basic understanding of this activity. After this training, you will be able to identify the 4 areas where we need to focus in our analysis and be able to identify the calculations we use to quantify the needs. You may be familiar with the terms training needs or skills needs. Gap analysis, training needs analysis, and skills needs analysis are the same thing. For the purposes of today's discussion, though, I'll primarily be using the term gap analysis. So what is a gap analysis? Simply put, it's a comparison of someone's actual performance, where they are now, with their potential or desired performance, where they could be or where we want them to be. So, in order to get a systematic and objective determination of needs, you need to look at 4 areas. First, you need to complete an organizational analysis. Next, an operational analysis. Third, a person analysis. And finally, a structural analysis. You'll find that you can easily recall these 4 areas by utilizing the acronym OOPS. Oops, there's a gap. Now let's take a closer look at these 4 areas. In an organizational analysis, you determine where training can and should be used within your organization. The focus is on the entire enterprise. You'll look at organizational objectives, human resources analysis, analysis of the efficiency indices used, and also an analysis of your organizational climate. In an operational analysis, you systematically collect data about a specific job or group of jobs. The purpose is to determine what the employee should be taught to perform the job at the desired level. Here, you'll look at performance standards, how tasks are to be performed to meet those standards, and the skills, knowledge, and attitudes necessary to meet those standards. In a person analysis, the objective is to find out how well each employee is performing the tasks that make up his or her job. You'll look at objective records such as performance data, situational measures, and observational measures. Finally, the 4th area to focus on is the structural analysis. This area is too often neglected in the typical needs analysis. But if you want to avoid an ad hoc approach to needs analysis, a strategy anchored on strategic and operational plans should be developed. We need to look at the needs identified as organizationally relevant. You want to look at the efficiency of your system's performance. Here, you'll look at work group performance and internal group processes. Again, anchoring what needs to be done with your company's strategic and operational plans and goals. So, how do we quantify a need or a gap? The most straightforward way is to subtract, so to speak, actual performance from desired performance. So G equals D minus A. You get your data on desired performance from your operational analysis. And you get your data for actual performance from your person analysis. But wait, that's just the first step. There are other things to consider as well. The gap analysis doesn't end with this discrepancy revealing process. The difference between actual performance and desired performance is a performance discrepancy. This discrepancy may or may not be a problem, and the solution may not necessarily involve teaching or training. To develop a solution to this discrepancy, you must look at the problems and not just the symptoms. First, you need to decide if the discrepancy is due to a skill deficiency. If so, then yes, training can be the solution. You also might need to decide if the discrepancy is due to motivational barriers, or a lack of practice opportunities, or a lack of performance feedback, or some other group or organizational barrier. In addition, you need to look at acquirements and accomplishments and how they are interrelated. Acquirement is achievement produced by learning, while accomplishment is the value we place on what has been acquired, what's useful. In our organization, we should always stress accomplishments. Otherwise, we get stuck learning only for its own sake and not for the contribution to the company. We must also keep in mind, however, that small gains in acquirements may also produce significant differences in accomplishments. For example, golfers on the professional tour are pretty much at par with each other in terms of skills. Yet any golfer who can average 1 or 2 strokes better than the others may expect to out-earn them by several $100,000 over the course of a year. The final calculation we need to make is based on training priorities, as some training needs are more important than others. You can establish your training priorities by evaluating the value of overcoming a deficiency and the cost of the training. You can use this formula for setting your priorities. P equals value times the number of staff, quantity, over the cost of the training. You can determine the value of overcoming a deficiency in your structural analysis. Okay, well, that is the basics on gap analysis. Let's recap what we've learned. So, there are 4 areas we need to look at to conduct a gap analysis. The first is the organizational analysis. The second is the operational analysis. Third, the person analysis. And finally, the structural analysis. Remember, you can use the acronym OOPS, OOPS, to help you remember these 4 areas. Also, we learned to identify the 2 basic calculations used in quantifying gaps. The first is gap equals desired performance minus actual performance. You get your data for desired performance from your operational analysis. Likewise, you get your data for actual performance from your person analysis. The second calculation is priority equals value times number of staff, quantity, over the cost of training. You get your data for value from your structural analysis. Thank you for your attention and participation, and happy training.